it went like full cult. The leader told people that you have to give up your privilege by dropping out of college. You know, I knew that I was in a cult.
Oh my goodness, she's in a cult.
But I felt like, oh, if I can fix it, then it will be okay. I won't have to own up to being in a cult because I will have fixed it from the and I think that's probably how a lot of left-wing people feel today.
Bro, this lady just described Black Lives Matter club at her school as a cult.
Donald Trump was censored off of Twitter, and I just found that to be not correct. I'm like a loudmouth person. I was an activist. I say what I want. The idea of censorship, it just doesn't vibe with my personality, left or right. It just isn't for me. I thought people would understand that, especially because when I was far left, I saw right-wing people as like my debate partners. I saw them as people who provided me with intellectual stimulation. So I thought people would understand why I would not want censorship, but the left-wing people that I knew, they were incensed. They were furious with me. And I dealt with all kinds of racial insults, Uncle Tom, race traitor, different kinds of sexual harassment.
What?
People telling me that I love white men because, of course, why would a woman do anything that's not motivated by sexual competition for man? And I just didn't expect that response because all I said was that I'm against censorship. I didn't say, you know, I love what Trump said. I just don't want anyone to be censored. But that was how I really got canceled from the left.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, y'all. This is about to be insane. So basically, this young woman is talking about how she got canceled from the left and how her life in BLM supposedly turned into a cult, and how she had to leave that life behind, and how she was against censorship, and people started basically canceling her as her existence. So let's see how this what happens in this. Let's just have a good time, you know.
Hi, my name is Alex Boyd. I am from Minneapolis, Minnesota, currently located in Portland, Oregon. So lots of liberal energy around me for my whole life. And I'm going to explain to you guys why I'm walking away from the left. So it's kind of a long story. I'm going to try to get through all my points. But basically, I grew up kind of woke before wokeness. In my opinion, every cult has like a seed of truth that it starts with and then devolves into madness. So to me, wokeness was originally about, it was called being pro-black, and it was about telling the truth about African-American history. So both of my parents are light-skinned black people like me. So I would go to school, they would tell me one thing, I would come home, my parents would tell me something very different. I learned that the founding fathers owned slaves. I learned that Thomas Jefferson had several biracial children by one of his slaves. And I'm 27, so when I was in middle school, when I was 13, 14, that is when I started to really question what I was taught in school about the founding of our country.
One thing that I was taught is that, we learned about the founding fathers, we learned about slavery and all these things. And it's a very dark history, or the perspective that is taught from is extremely dark. That, America did some really bad things. However, I do believe people should be taught history. I also believe people should be taught that America has turned into an amazing place. That America is for its people. And the reason I think people should be taught that, and that people should, learn that to have some pride in their country, is because when you're only taught the negativities of a place, that's going to be your underlying perspective of it, no matter what happens. America can be the most amazing place on earth. But if you believe that, because of what happened 200 years ago, what happened 50 years ago, but because of what happened on the news last Saturday, America sucks. You're never going to grow to love your country. You're never going to grow to love the people around you. And that's the biggest problem. When you're always taught this perspective of this place is bad. How are you ever going to learn to love it? And how are you going to teach others to love it?
And I'm someone who I like to talk to people from all walks of life. So even though I was far left my whole childhood, my whole upbringing, what have you, no one ever questioned me for talking to people from different belief systems until like 2016. And that was when things got weird to me. Nobody ever thought that was, it did not, no one thought it was contradictory being far left and talking to Republicans. And I was on the debate team. So I loved talking to Republicans. It was really fun for me. Nobody ever thought that was weird until I got to college. So I went to Reed College in Portland, Oregon.
Really?
And Reed is considered the most liberal college in the country. I became a BLM organizer, and I was a co-founder of an organization called Reedies Against Racism. So Reedies Against Racism, that was when I first noticed cult-like features of the left. I noticed, I guess Portland is kind of worse, so I don't think every Black Lives Matter chapter had this, but I noticed worship of a singular leader. I noticed financial manipulativeness. I noticed just kind of a lack of goal-orientedness, almost like people didn't want problems for Black people to be solved because then, what would happen to us activists? And then I noticed a general sadness, particularly because a lot of the white women that I had recruited into wokeness seemed really sad, and justifiably so, because a lot of wokeness is weirdly, I feel, anti-white women, anti-women in general.
And here's my thing, bro, because I learned a lot of what I learned in all this from literally watching YouTube videos, which you're like, oh, go out and get an education. Y'all, this is literally my education. Hearing people speak, real people speak about these situations, or I watch news clips. And when I hear about wokeness, I haven't heard much good from it. And you're like, well, maybe it's because you only watch, I guess, right-leaning videos or conservative videos. But no, I don't. I watch other perspectives and I heard other people speak, and it just sounds kind of sad. It sounds kind of dark in a way. What I thought when, like, wokeness is that you're more open to other perspectives. Like, no matter how people think, you're open to learning more about it. Unless it it really genuinely harms people, you're open to learn about it. And you're open to debate about it. That's what I assumed it was. What I'm getting from it is that you're not open to anything. You have to think this specific way. You have to operate this specific way, or you're wrong. And that actually doesn't sound woke to me. That sounds kind of like you're trapped, like they want to trap you. I don't know, bro. It doesn't sound good, though. It sounds depressing.
So I've got my notes here. So my particular chapter of BLM, which was called Reedies Against Racism, RAR, was what we abbreviated it to. I know I already told you guys that, but it went like full cult. The leader told people that you have to give up your privilege by dropping out of college. 2 people actually did. I felt responsible and complicit in this, so I had to come out and be like, don't do that, please. And I had to college. Tell the truth. I had to apologize for lying, and I basically felt like, I knew that I was in a cult, but I felt like, if I can fix it, then it will be okay. I won't have to own up to being in a cult because I will have fixed it from the inside. And I think that's probably how a lot of left-wing people feel today. So I was okay with confronting Black Lives Matter. I grew up being kind of different from other Black people anyway. I grew up at a time when most Black people chemically straightened their hair permanently, and I did not. I had natural hair. So what I always say is the same Black people who would have told me to chemically straighten my hair when I was a kid are now telling me that I have to be in BLM, and I always say, shut up, perm police. I don't care. So I was comfortable telling Black people no. That was something I was used to already. So,
bro, this lady just described the Black Lives Matter club at her school as a cult. A cult. And let me put this into perspective, bro. Because what she's saying, it has a little bit of truth to it. Like when I said in past videos that, or when I was reacting to this video and this guy said, he was like, one thing he envies about, I guess, another race that will only be the real advantage is that you're not really forced into a way of thinking when you're, I think he was talking about white people. I don't know. That's what he said. I don't know if that statement is true. That's for y'all to answer. I don't know if that statement is true, but that's what he said. And when he said that, it just made me think like, dang, like, for, you know, my culture of people, you're not forced into a way of thinking, but when it comes to certain things, people just expect you to agree with them. For example, she was at this school, one of the most liberal schools in the country, and because she's a black woman, she was kind of just expected to go along with the BLM club at her school, just because, just off the strength of how she looks. And if she doesn't, she's called things that she's not. She's being ostracized, she's being bullied, she's being harassed just because she didn't decide to think that way. That's crazy, bro. Hey, y'all, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe.
Then, okay. So I left Black Lives Matter. I knew they were cult elements, but I knew there was something else wrong with the left. I couldn't figure out what it was. The Jussie Smollett thing happened, if you guys remember that. And, you know, I spoke out against that, and that did not make me popular. The thing that really made left-wing people extremely angry with me was in 2020, I started my blog. I'll link my blog down below if you guys are interested. In 2020, I started my blog, and I started it because because Donald Trump was censored off of Twitter. Or no, so it was 2021. Donald Trump was censored off of Twitter, and I found that to be not correct. I'm like a loudmouth person. I was an activist. I say what I want. The idea of censorship, it just doesn't vibe with my personality, left or right. It just isn't for me. I thought people would understand that, especially because when I was far left, I saw right-wing people as like my debate partners. I saw them as people who provided me with intellectual stimulation. So I thought people would understand why I would not want censorship. But the left-wing people that I knew, they were incensed. They were furious with me. And I dealt with all kinds of racial insults. Insults. Race traitor, different kinds of sexual harassment. People telling me that I love white men because, of course,
that always, when she said it, that's, I just don't understand, bro. I don't understand how life has turned into this. Like, all jokes aside, like, how did this happen? Like, how did this whole, it's kind of crazy. How did all this happen? When did this happen? I don't remember who said it. I think it was Vivek Ramaswamy. He made a video saying in 2008 the housing crisis or something like shifted capitalists or Wall Street to move the issue from them to these type of issues. They didn't want people to be mad at them, so they created issues. And when I hear stuff like this, I'm like, this sounds like a created issue. Like, if you are, I guess, right-leaning, you're automatically just cut. You're a race traitor. Think about this. Your political belief, or your belief in this category, or your belief in, not even your political belief, because it's not even really about politics. It's more so about lack of censorship. If you believe that people should not be censored for how they speak, you are a race traitor. How does that even make sense? How is that a black belief? I don't know.
Why would a woman do anything that's not motivated by sexual competition for a man? And I just didn't expect that response, because all I said was that I'm against censorship. I didn't say, you know, I love what Trump said. I just don't want anyone to be censored. But that was how I really got canceled from the left. I learned since then that the ACLU and Al Sharpton actually at one point advocated for the rights of white supremacists to march through a Jewish neighborhood, because that's how anti-censorship the left used to be. And Al Sharpton said, we have to fight for the rights, the free speech rights of these white supremacists. Otherwise, they'll censor black civil rights activists next.
I can't even imagine somebody saying something like that today. I literally can't, bro. I can't imagine somebody saying something like that today. It doesn't even sound realistic to me that somebody say it. oh, I can't imagine that, bro. Maybe we are regressing. I personally don't think society is regressing because I'm 21 years old. I like the world. I like America. I love the country. But when I hear stuff like that, I literally can't even imagine that being a reality. And I don't know if that's a good thing or it's a sad thing probably because that's not my lifestyle that I'm hearing. This is the life I know. So when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, there's no way that happened.
So I think it's really sad that the left has moved away from those pro-freedom values because that is why people like the left or used to like it. But, you know, that's their choice. So that is what really, I faced a lot of pushback for being anti-censorship. And what really made me want to leave is that a few days after I made my blog post, Bernie Sanders came out and said something very similar. He said he was against Trump's Twitter ban, and no one that I knew said anything. It wasn't even really news. And it made me realize that the reason that left-wing people were upset with me for stepping out of line, it wasn't because I had a political belief that was unorthodox for a left-wing person. It's because black women are not allowed to do that on the left.
That's what I was saying, bro. That's what I was saying. Because she's a black woman, because I'm a black man, or not me specifically, but that's just an example. You aren't. It's like people don't. You're not. It's like they think you're not allowed to do that, as if they have control over your life. It's because you are born as a black woman, you're not allowed to have these type of beliefs. How isn't that racist? That is pure. That's racism. Like, oh, you're a black woman, you're not allowed to think like that. This is not even about politics because she hasn't even said a political belief yet. She hasn't. She hasn't even said anything about her belief. She said, I don't believe in full-on censorship. And because of that, I was bullied, basically. Flat out bullied. Because I'm a black woman. That's sad, man. That's truly sad.
No one cared that a white man did it, but, you know, it's why they say, you know, you ain't black if you don't vote for Joe Biden. There is a belief among left-wing people that a black person's job is not to think for themselves. My job as a lefty to them was to fall in line. So being told to essentially dumb myself down because I'm a black woman, I was really done with the left after that. I did not want to dampen my intellect. I did not want to have to set aside my critical thinking skills just to make white liberals feel comfortable. And ever since then, I have been very critical of the left.
But that's just racism, bro. Like, when I hear stuff like this is what I define as racism. Like, when you have a belief and, like, you're a free thinker. And I'm not even talking about whether you believe, like, you agree or not. I'm not even talking about that. You're just a free thinker. You think what you want. You think what you think is right. You just think by yourself. But because she's a black woman, because they assume that's racism, you're just assuming you're just going to think like that, and you're basically forced to think like that, and you don't. Oh yeah, you're banned. You're cut off. You're canceled. That's not right, bro. But if you have any, suggestions for me or for her, comment down below. It's Jojo, and I'll see you on the next one.